Welcome to another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. Mick behind the microphone today and Drew as our editor. If it sounds a little different, it's because I am in the truck. I'm in the thumb of Michigan and I am headed over to Marlette Sportsman's Association, a cool range up here to teach for 4 days. It's the 1st of June, 2023, and I thought I'd try something a little new, which is what we're doing now. Hope you guys are doing good, man. I've been watching spring roll by. It's been wonderful across the country, the places that we've been. I'm not sure where you're at and what the world brings to you, but the one thing that's kind of been weighing on me, depending on where you're at, what you're paying attention to, is all the things that there are to pay attention to, all the stuff that's going on in this world. It can be pretty scary. You know, I'm a habitual guy in a lot of ways, and before I go on the road, I usually get a haircut. I got an old-time barber shop in my town, Bob the Barber, and I go in there and I plop down, and as per always, he's got the local news feed on the TV, or one of the main news channels that has that 24-hour reel of let's get your heart rate up and scare the crap out of you stuff. And so as I sat there getting my hair cut, talking with him and talking about what's going on in his world, he's been on our local square cutting hair for literally like 50 years. You hear the local scoop and you hear a guy's take, a guy that's been around a while, you hear his take on all the goings on in the world, the way he sees it, the way things changed. And if you listen to this guy enough, you'd think that we were all about to just disappear from planet Earth. And you think about, why is that? Why does he think this? Well, no, I don't think it's accurate. I think it's because he's feeding himself this constant news feed, this stream of information, this stream of somebody's curated information that is literally crafted to accelerate your heart rate, that's literally crafted to get you juiced up, that's literally crafted to cause you to want to keep soaking up more and more of that data, that information that these news feeds are pumping out. Why would they do that? Well, because the longer you listen, the longer that you view, the more ad dollars that they bring in. Pharmaceutical companies, sports companies, car companies, shoe companies, you name it. And we buy all that stuff. We'll come back to that. Does that mean that some of these topics that are being covered by these news outlets, or even all of them, are not real? No, I don't think so. Many of them are real. Many of them are things that we should be aware of. The truth is, though, the world has always been a perilous place for living creatures to live. I saw a video last night. I think I've seen it before. There's so much of this stuff on social media that pops up. I think sometimes you forget how often this stuff rolls across your eyes. It was a mouse in the desert, and a scorpion attacked the mouse. Clearly, some type of video work was being done by a researcher or something like that. It was some really cool footage where you could see up close in the night sky, or with only the night sky rather, this mouse and this scorpion. A scorpion attacks the mouse. Apparently this mouse is a badass, dances out of the way, bites the scorpion's tail, vanquishes its foe. And as it did so, pretty dang cool, it climbs up on its hind legs and howls at the moon. I shit you not, this mouse howls at the moon in like this cry of victory. And even right there in this little microcosm of what happened on the desert floor, in some little tiny square foot section of the earth, you see this event play out. Life and death, love and hate, this scenario where life hangs in the balance. And I think too often we believe, and we have this idea, this concept that's not accurate, that the world is supposed to be some certain way. Why is that? And part of it is it's a lie. We've been convinced of this lie by our parents, our teachers, our schools, ourself, our news feeds. We've been convinced that the world is supposed to be some super happy place. And happy is subjective, is it not? To a certain person, pick a person that goes and climbs up on a roof and works in the hot sun all day laying shingles. That to them might be the happiest thing in the world. Somebody else might say, oh, that sounds horrible. A farmer that maybe is out toiling in the fields all day may find that to be the best thing ever. Somebody else might think, God dang, I got to go out there and get dirty. They might think it is horrific. So here's the thing. If some of these viewpoints, if our happiness is subjective, who drives the information that we take in? You know, this concept of I need to feel a certain way, it's a disease. I need to feel happy. What makes you feel anything? Is it a taste of food? Is it the touch of a person? Is it the sight of a place? Feelings are always in flux, and as we expect the world to be a certain way, that's a feeling in itself. It's discontentment, it's anger, it's rage, it's sadness. I'm not talking about accepting the world as it is, but it's also, or rather it is, understanding that the world is a certain way. It always will be. You know, I talked about that mouse and that scorpion. I shared a video that my sister sent me. It's probably been shared by all kinds of people. It's a really cute little clip of a small dog, little 30, 40 pound, 20 pound dog, sticking its head through a pasture fence, and you can clearly see that it has affection for a large horse, and the horse has a similar affection for the dog. And people commented, oh, we need to be more like animals. If everybody was like animals, everything would be great. Animals are so sweet. Animals really know what love is. Well, look at the story I just told you of the two animals of the mouse and the scorpion. Or I've seen horses stomp animals to death. I've seen dogs rip animals apart. Dogs are carnivores. They are not all lovey-dovey. They are not a creature that goes about its life just nuzzling every animal and feeling love and affection, just as horses can be very violent. So right there, it's a skewed and unrealistic viewpoint of the world. That said, I don't think that we should go around and say everything is bad and that's okay. See, even using the term bad is negative. I'm just saying we need to see the world for what it is, and in doing so, we can let go of some of what creates that angst, that anxiety, the discontentment, the anger, etc., because it's not the way we think it should be. And there, I think, in lies the truth, the way we think it should be. And again, who says it should be that way? Who told you that? For most of mankind's existence, we've had it fairly rough in the sense of what it took to survive on the daily. I stayed in a little Airbnb last night, and when I woke up this morning, I had water that came out of a kitchen sink, a bathroom sink, and a shower. I could choose hot steaming water and I could choose cold water. Hell, I could mix it to all points in between, from as cold as it would go to as hot as it could go. There was a freezer, there was a refrigerator. I had multiple types of soap in there. I had access to enough food in that one little house to feed me for probably a week and a half or 2 weeks if I had to, maybe even longer. I had a warm bed. I had air conditioning. I had internet. I had 5 or 10 electric lights in there, right? You guys see where I'm going. I had shelter from the rain, shelter from the sun, shelter from the wind. That is high living. We have gotten so far removed from the vicissitudes, good word, I like that word, the vicissitudes of life, the ups and downs, the ebbs, the flows of what life is, and our level of homeostasis is such that if we get pushed too far off of kilter, things don't feel right. In fact, we've gotten so used to being comfortable that now people pay good money to be made uncomfortable. Put me through this pretend boot camp. Let me run this muddy race where I go get muddy and at the end I take a picture with mud all over me. Let me go climb this rock wall for no reason other than to do it. Let me put a backpack on and just go walk, just to walk, right? I don't have to get somewhere. I'm not commuting. I'm not traversing those mountains to go make a better life. I'm just walking to walk. It's because we've made our lives so simple. I'm also not saying in this discussion, let's make our lives needlessly hard, but rather this. Let's change the way that we view the world around us and see it for what it is. And in that, some or maybe even a lot of the anxiety that we stack all over ourselves will just melt away. How do I know? Because I've been working on that for years. As a guy that came from a place as a young man that created tons of anxiety for multiple reasons, tons of anxiety. In a lot of ways, I didn't even realize what it was until I was in my mid-20s, early 30s. And then you start seeing all kinds of issues that come about with it. Fractured relationships, poor health, lack of sleep, anger, sadness, depression. And that stuff is all really a waste of life in many ways. And then what do we do when we have those things manifest in our life? Well, we blame others. Maybe we medicate ourselves with drugs, alcohol, prescribed medications, which a lot of times don't do anything but numb the reality. All of them do that. Maybe we curl into a ball and we just sleep life away. Maybe we pretend everything's okay, but inside we're boiling, we're dying, right? These things can be all kinds of manifestations. And I'm not getting preachy or trying to sound doctory or something like that. I'm just talking from a perspective of a guy that suffered from massive amounts of anxiety for a long, long time. The causation of the anxiety is really the thing that I want to talk about. And I think in this space, especially, the space that we live in here as prepared people, as, what's another way to look at it? People that I think, for the most part, I'm about to pull onto some gravel. We'll see what this sounds like to you. People that for the most part, think they've got a good handle on what's going on in the world. I think most people in the realm that we live in, that we work in, that we surround ourselves with, I think most folks feel like in this space they've got a really good handle on what is important, what's not important. Could you stop for a second and maybe think, is the stuff I'm filling my head with really the best thing for me? Is the stuff I'm filling my head with really the thing that is going to elevate me and give me the best chance at living in the most fulfilled way? Some people put all of their heart and soul into religion. I don't care what you do, but religion, drugs, alcohol, thinking that by watching the news all day or anything else that you fill your time with really isn't the answer. And that, I'll have to add this, as a kid that grew up in home of a minister, at church 7-8 times a frickin' week, it seemed, prayer meetings every day, reading the Bible every day, I can say that there's too much of that too. And a lot of people say, no, there's never too much of that. Well, there is if you are overlooking the business of life. If you're not parenting correctly, if your health is not in tip-top shape, if you're not paying the bills on time, if you're not doing the things that are required, then yeah, you do have some priorities out of whack. And the reason I bring that up, or think it might be a good point to bring up, is I think a lot of us, as I'm having this discussion, some of these things are kind of popping in my head. a lot of us were looking for that cure, right? And since we're talking about scripture, you people that have spent the time reading it, maybe a scripture comes to mind like this: cast all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. Good. Do that. Cast all your cares on God, but you still have to go out and plant the garden. You still have to go out and take that walk. You still have to go out and go through all of the things that you need to take care of yourself, your family, etc. It's not just put all your faith in this being and expect things to be done. And I think there's a disconnect there. So true with all the other things that we're talking about. So if we find ourselves in a situation where angst and worry and discontentment and all these other manifestations have become part of our daily life, that's a news flash, man. That is a flashing check engine light, as my buddy Rob Wilson would say, that you need to pay attention. You need to see what the heck's going on and take some kind of action, because if you don't, that's the stuff that catches up to us, where we start finding out that, hey, we've got a high blood pressure, we've got heart disease, we've got these different health issues popping up, and we're thinking, man, I lived a pretty clean life, or I lived a pretty good life. The couple beers, the cookie once in a while, that kind of stuff, that's not what kills you. It's the stress. It's your body in a state of constant stress. And when you think about stress, oftentimes we think about worry or we think about anxiety, but just think about that nagging in the back of your head that's always got that little bit of this notion or this thought reminding you that something's not right, that something's bad. That's the thing that causes the stress hormones in your body to stay elevated, and you're literally just burning at both ends. You're running your engine at high RPMs day after day, month after month, year after year, and that's why we get sick and die. You just burned up your time here on this planet way faster than you needed to, because your brain and your body was doing the work of 2 lifetimes in a single lifetime. Does that make sense? I think the broad message of what I was thinking about here as I started, or as I was planning to have this conversation, has kind of changed tacks a little bit. This is something that's near and dear to me, as I brought up, because of some of the challenges in my life, which kind of brings me full circle to where I'm headed right now. I'm 6 miles from the gun range. Why do we train? Why do we go out and spend the time, the money, the energy to train? Why are we learning about firearms and medical interventions and all of these different things? Why are we training martial arts? The answer's always the same. Because I want to win. If somebody tries to hurt me or hurt my family, I want to be able to protect them. Well, why do you want to win? Because I like being alive, right? I like being alive. Being alive is cool. I want to do that as long as possible, which is really my goal every day. I want to live a long and full life. I want to live a long and full life. And it's amazing how often we step off that path. I'll tell you a quick story. I was on the road, and somebody driving kind of erratically caused me to have to lock up my brakes. They cut me off, didn't even see me probably, and we had a little change of hand gestures, and I thought about it later. This guy didn't even know what he did, right? But for a moment, I got knocked off of my even keel, allowed myself to get knocked off of my even keel because of somebody else's actions. It's really easy for us just to fall into the trap or into the pattern of accepting giving in to those emotions. What did I get out of getting angry for a minute? Nothing. What's the negatives? Well, I could escalate a situation to a dangerous place where now I actually have to use some type of force to protect myself? Would I be at fault for that? If it did escalate to that, sure, there'd be some culpability there. Is that part of my goal? Does that support that goal of winning in violence and living a long, full life? No, not if I'm instigating the violence or adding to it. I think too often we forget these really simple goals. We spend this time learning how to shoot the guns better. We carry our little tourniquets in our medical kits. We listen to podcasts where we think we're learning about somehow injecting good into the world around us. Well, what good are we actually injecting into ourselves? What good or what change are we adding to our own life, which ultimately is going to add to the lives of the people that are in our care, our kids, our families, the people that work with us? What are we actually doing? If we're just continually out there taking in more information, when does the doing actually happen? When are we actually applying the things that we're learning? Because I know you're not going out there and getting in gunfights every day. I know you're not going out there and putting tourniquets on people's bleeding brachial arteries every day. I know you're not. Even if you're a paramedic or a cop, you're not doing those things every day, right? How can we develop better versions of ourselves where we are worrying less, using worry to our benefit? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is not allowing the worry to become a negative where it beats us down. Instead, it's a clue. I feel this certain way because of this information that Fox News or CNN is telling me. Okay, do I like how I feel? Yes or no? No. Okay, what can I do about it? What can I do about the things I see? Some of those things might be, I can't change the war in Ukraine. I'm not going to think about that, or I'm not going to invest that much energy in it. Knowing about it's one thing, having that ruin or alter your life, something completely different. Got some problems with elections. Can I change that? Yeah, I can actually put some work into that. I see some commercials on TV about erectile dysfunction or heart disease or diabetes. Can I do something about that? Yep. I can have a clean diet. I can sleep 8 hours a night. I can exercise every day. I can meditate. I can smile more. I can take my family for walks. I can read instead of staring at a screen. Yeah? So if we're not adding action and we're just taking in more and more and more and more information, what's the output? What are you outputting in your life? So there's the question. What is the output of your life? What's the input? Take a look at all the things that you're inputting into your brain every day. Take a look at it. Take a notebook with you. What'd you listen to today? Music, podcasts, talk radio, news. What are you outputting? Be honest, assess. What the heck are you putting out in your life? And we've got the CarryTrainer University, which is a program where we help mentor instructors to become successful in the instruction business. Basically passing on the stuff that I learned the last, 25 years in business that's helped us grow the brand of CarryTrainer into what it is, which we're proud of. Drew and I have spent years working on it. But I get questions from folks and they've got a lot of input. They're taking in a lot of information. Sometimes that's too much. Sometimes it's time to start outputting. And it's also time to start assessing, what am I outputting? I talked to my friend Ryan Kleckner yesterday. Ryan's an author, a business owner, former Ranger. He's kind of well known for his books on long-range shooting and his work with National Shooting Sports Foundation. Little plug for him, he also is the owner of Rocket FFL. Didn't pay me for that. But Ryan was talking about a business venture he's working on, and he brought up a point that business people often know, but they don't do. And what he was talking about was trying to assess quickly if a plan that he was working on was working. And if not, can he pivot to improve it? And if not, can he abandon it to move on to something else that is profitable or workable or fits inside the scope and overall goals of his businesses? Too often we just do the same thing over and over again, right? There's that old adage that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different. That has nothing to do with insanity. Insanity is mental illness. That's not the definition of insanity. Insanity is an illness of your brain. That's the definition of stupid, is what that is. If you keep doing the same thing and expecting something different, that's just stupid. That's not insane. So take a look at what you're doing. Take a look at your life. Take a look at the output. What am I outputting? What is it that I am doing every day? Contrast it to what you're inputting. What am I reading? What am I viewing? What am I talking about when I'm at work on my break? What am I talking about when I'm having dinner with my family? What am I thinking about as I'm showering, as I'm cutting the grass, as I'm going about the tasks of life? Thoughts are indeed things. Thoughts are not your reality, though, until you manifest that reality. I'm not getting preachy, but this is as true as anything you'll ever hear from anyone. The things that rattle around inside your head, you control. And just like it's a habit for you to exercise or not exercise, it's a habit for you to eat the way you eat or view the things you view. It is a habit to dictate your thoughts. And it may take time, but you need to be able to think about what is rattling around in my head and change it. Here's a workable plan for you. Pick 2 or 3 things. I don't care what they are, because they got to matter to you, not to me. Pick 2 or 3 things that are really important to you. For example, I would love to sleep 8 hours a night. Okay, there's one. Number 2, I want to go for walks with my family every day. Okay, there's 2 things. Do it. How do I go to sleep at night? Well, do a little reading. Stop taking caffeine in halfway through the day, or limit caffeine altogether for a while. Shut off the frickin' phone and TV. Create a dark environment. Maybe start a fan up or get some type of white or brown noise going, right? This stuff, I'm not the sleep expert, but I have worked very hard on sleeping 8 hours a night. I have for years. People that don't do that, I think, are silly. Things like going for the walk with the family, etc. That's just make the time do it, right? Let's talk a little bit about some thoughts. Let's talk a little bit about some of the thought stuff. How can I change the thoughts in my head? How can I change the narrative, this running dialogue in my head? If you had it your way, here's the next little challenge. If you had it your way, what would you like to be thinking about all day? What would you like to be thinking about? What would you like your life to output? What would you like your life to manifest? Write it down. Think about those things. It's literally that easy. And people are like, oh, it's that freaking simple. Yeah, man, it's that freaking simple. If you choose a choice to keep listening to all of the bull crap that you listen to, including podcasts like this, who is filling your head up? Somebody else is. Somebody else is. I saw Tony Cowden shared something on social media, and he wrote, while he was doing a workout, he wrote, if you need somebody to tell you to get up and go work out, if you need somebody to tell you to do these certain things, you're a bitch. Well, that's true. I just pulled up to the range. I've got the crew out here ready to help me set up so we can get some work done. I am super looking forward to maybe seeing you guys somewhere. S12 events coming up. We've got all kinds of training courses on the calendar. Check out that CCW Safe we talked about, and hopefully we see you soon. If you've got questions on any of this stuff, hit me up at training@CarryTrainer.com. In the show notes, if you've got a question, put anything up that you've got legitimate questions on. And tell Drew thank you for his hard editing work. We appreciate the heck out of him. You guys be well. Don't be dickheads. Tell somebody you love them. I appreciate that you took the time to visit with me for this half hour. Bye now.
Visit our website, CarryTrainer.com, for information about classes held throughout the U.S., Carry Trainer apparel, and upcoming projects. You can also email us at training@CarryTrainer.com for information about setting up your own private course or speaking engagement. Training@CarryTrainer.com or CarryTrainer.com.
I said I got me some gunfighter gun on. Gunfighter gun on, baby. Gunfighter gun on. No more gunfighter blues. Made in the USA. Amazing lubricity. 100% synthetic, baby. So it's gonna last you longer. So go on CarryTrainer.com and order yourself some gunfighter gun or gunfighter lube to get rid of your gunfighter blues. I said go on and order yourself some gunfighter lube. Gunfighter lube. Yeah!